In the previous episode, I was pleased to announce my Raffo Belva project is now back on course. In fact, this is the first time I've felt really good about it for over 4 years of disasters, the car being off the road for all of that time. Helping to put the project back on track is Peter, the ex-Lotus engineer. We transferred a sweet little low-mileage Ford Zetec engine ready for another guy to weld some engine mountings and adapt the drive shafts later this month. In this episode, we wade through the tricky and laborious transfer of the Ford Fiesta wiring loom, making necessary extensions to change from a front engine to rear engine layout. I also make a start on improvements to the bodywork, and I get to contemplate the bit I'm really looking forward to, designing and building the dashboard and instrument layout, while Peter does the skilled electrical work.
Right, we have the Econo Seal connectors, a male and a female. These will do for the wiper motor connection. Keeps the water out and provides a decent connection. Right, well worth spending the money on. That's a slightly heavier duty wire for the wiring extension. A reel of thin wall 1mm square wire. That's 2mm square. That's 16.5 amps that'll take. That slightly higher, 20 odd. Okay, some heat shrink. That will do for the smaller wire, and that will do for the thicker wire to protect it. And then convoluted shielding, just to bundle all the wires together as they run down the sills to the rear and anywhere else we need to tie them up and keep them protected.
And we've got so much electrical wire connecting to do, in fact at least 60 joins, that Peter and I decided to set up a system, and he brought along this wonderful little mini clamp which will make the soldering a lot easier. So Peter, we about halfway through?
Yep. We just finished building our Heath Robinson Enterprises workbench, and then we'll crack on.
My, how he knows his stuff. This is a lesson in electrics and a reminder that the trigger to my stripping this car down and doing a total rebuild was the mess of the wiring I inherited when I bought the car that led to it breaking down and being towed back home in 2009. The problem with kit cars is they're built by amateurs, and no more does it show than in the wiring. I didn't realise that the easy and convenient crimped connectors that you can get from shops like Halford's are not a good long-term solution, and that proper spliced and soldered connections sheathed in heat shrink casing are stronger and prevent damp getting in, and are also vibration proof. Well, this is a real belt and braces job, and Peter and I set up a factory production line to create the necessary lengths of extended cable. And while I cut the heat shrink sleeves to length, he started the laborious task of carefully making the joins and going through every cable one by one. I think there were over 60 joins in all, and even the stripping of the cable has to be done properly using the correct tool. Well, I've used my teeth for all these years, but this handy tool strips it perfectly, and a small detail is to leave the loose end of sheathing on, as it prevents the strands from fraying before the tricky splicing is done. Now, I never knew that.
It's important that when you're joining the cables that you get a good joint. I do this by putting a little bit of a twist in the cable as I try and splice them together, so that there's a light, you can see there's a small twist in the cable, so if the other cable joins in.
While Peter was doing the electrics, I made a start on the body. When John Raffo designed this gorgeous body shell, I don't think he considered for one moment how to get the engine out. So I cut the rear section off as a start. Currently, I'm looking at how to replace the radiator, so this nose section had to be cut in two to remove it. So here I'm adapting the way it fits together for ease of car maintenance later. Well, my neighbour Vernon happened to call by, and by chance he had just the right tool for speeding up the process of trunking the cable. So what have you brought to the party, Vernon?
It's a thing.
A thing?
Yeah, what, a Dewberry? Cable looks like a flying rabbit to me.
Right.
Okay, that's amazing. I'll speed it up completely.
If you cut those connectors off, that will work so
What we're doing in here is just trying to tidy up the wiring, get ourselves to a working wiring harness situation. Unfortunately, not everything goes where you would like it to go, so we might have to make some compromises.
Well, there's quite a lot of thinking involved in planning the dashboard layout and having easy access to fuses and relays around which I have to fit the instruments, the radio and also the sat-nav. I'm considering using either the original traditional dials or possibly a state-of-the-art digital dashboard. Wow, they ain't cheap. So I'm weighing up functionality with cost and also visuals. But either way, the instruments are going to be positioned exactly right for me. Now this is a true custom-built car, like a handmade pair of shoes, made to fit. And I'm around 5'10", and visibility and control is everything. Instruments?
Instruments.
Well, sadly, my time with Peter was all too short, as he was in between jobs when he came to me, and now he's landed a job with Jaguar. So I spent the last hour going through with him everything I needed to do to complete the wiring. And what better way than to get it all onto video so I can refer to it when he's gone. Peter's really helped kickstart this project to a stage where I'm more confident to forge ahead on my own. Exciting stuff. Keep posted.